Oh, hello there. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Hot Topics series, the class where you look at hot topics in the news and we talk about them from our own cultural perspectives. It's always interesting to see how different people react to different kinds of news stories all around the world. And today I'm going to bring you a couple of news stories that you might not be expecting. Two interesting ones. We'll go over what they are in just a second because even the titles are a bit confusing. You'll see what I mean. First, quick introduction while I'm waiting for all of you to come in. I'm John Eric, your verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, coming at you today from Lisbon, Portugal, to bring you this class. By the way, if you click on my name anywhere in the Verbling website, it'll take you to my profile page right here, where you can follow me on the left to communicate with me directly through the chat window, the message window, which you can see on the top right side with the little envelope symbol. Or you can book a private tutoring class or a package with me, and I'll work with you on creating a personalized learning plan to help get you to your goals. So that's a bit about me. If you're interested, just send me a message to make sure that I have time in my schedule before you book, and we'll get started. Let's take a look at the material for today. So here you can see presentation. There you go in the chat window, if you'd like to open this on your computer. And I think we're all ready to start. So let's see who's out there. Oh, so many people. I can't see who's, there's so many faces I can't see. Oh, it's just Frederick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm sure we'll have a few people joining us.
Yeah.
They tend to trickle in throughout the class. Hey, take a look at that picture on the left side and tell me what that thing is. What is that?
It's a Zeppelin, I think.
It's a Zeppelin. It's a blimp.
A blimp, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, a blimp. Yeah, it's a blimp, and I see there is an anchor. He is carrying an anchor.
He? Who is he?
It's carrying an anchor.
Oh, okay. I like it when people say here in Portugal.
Yeah.
My wife says, "Step on the cockroach. She's getting away." She is? Really? By the way, the word is also anchor with a k sound.
Anchor, okay.
Absolutely. I wonder, what's the difference between a blimp and a zeppelin? Because we say blimp, right?
I think Zeppelin, it's a name. No.
It is a name. You mean a type of blimp?
Maybe it's.
Oh, you mean the name of the person who created that kind of...
Yeah,
okay. Exactly. Could be. I'm not sure. Hey, Mr. Jose, have you ever seen a blimp or a zeppelin floating over the skies of Valencia?
No, I never seen some object like this.
No?
No.
What about if you go to a football game? Don't they have these things floating over the stadium? In America, they do.
No, in Spain it's not so much common to see this kind of objects flying on the stadium.
So, what do you think the purpose of that thing is? What can we do with it? What do you think they're used for, Jose?
Sometimes are used for making advertisement.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have like a sign on the side of it, or even text. We have this thing called, what is it called? I'm forgetting the name of it now. When you have the text electronically going across, like the bottom of the page when you look at the market reports for Wall Street, they always have a, oh, what is the name of that? I'm blanking on the word. I was going to say, I can't remember the name. In Times Square, you have this on one of the buildings. But I've seen that on Zeppelins, where they have text going across, or blimps, text going across the side. I'm completely blanking on the word right now. Anyway, advertisements, absolutely. And Frederic, besides advertising, what else do you think we could do with a blimp?
Some of them can carry a passenger.
You could ride a blimp, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Unless your blimp is this one.
I think it could be used to the army too, I think.
Absolutely, good. Here's a famous blimp. Remember this one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
full of hydrogen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to carry passengers, make sure you don't put flammable things inside of your blimp. And here's a picture of it before it took off, the Hindenburg. I'm just curious, was it hydrogen? It had hydrogen in it? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was hydrogen, but now they use helium, and helium is no inflammable.
It isn't flammable.
Yeah,
Flammable.
Helium is not flammable.
There you go. Good keyword, by the way. So we'll put that there. Whoops. Flammable. Whoops. My computer is not letting me write the word flammable for some reason. Give me a sec. Oh, come on. What's going on with this? Oh, it's got 2 M's. Oh, there you go. I thought I had 1 M. Absolutely. You can transport people, but make sure that you don't put hydrogen inside of your blimp. Okay, so we're going to read about an unusual blimp which you might have seen in the news yesterday and today. And we're going to read about an unusual kind of canine as well. First of all, what sorts of news stories do you expect to see when you read or watch the news? I mean this in general. What do you expect to see? I mean, do you read or watch the news every day?
Yeah. I watch the news on the TV.
What are you looking for? Like, why do you do it? What are you expecting to see?
First of all, I expect to see news about the weather.
Okay. There you go. See whether or not you need a raincoat today. Okay,
Yeah.
Good. Okay. And what about you, Giancarlo? What do you see or read the news every day?
Okay, interesting question, John. Most of the time, I like to read stories that inspire me.
Okay,
For
good.
example, interviews about a life or somebody who did something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
For example, actors, actresses, or maybe politicians, or maybe famous people who give me interesting stuff. As I said before, something that inspired me
Mm-hmm.
to
Inspiring
continue in my life.
stories.
Inspiring stories. Because, for example, red news, for example, accidents or something like that, it's very common to see or to watch on television. But yesterday I was talking to a friend and we were discussing about this kind of stories or this kind of red notes on television or maybe in the news or maybe on newspapers, and most of the time they give me negative thought. Sometimes when I read them or I watch or I know about them, these kind of stories or the news,
Mhm.
most of the time I feel depressed or
Right. Absolutely.
uh,
That's a
yeah.
good point, and it's something that we ought to think about because it brings up the question, what is the purpose of the news? That's really what I'm getting at here. What is the purpose of it? Why did we do it? I know I I need to I need to get out of my room. I'm in the same room all day long. I live and work in the room. It's hard to get out of the house because I need to be near the computer all the time. I would like to bring my computer to other places, but then it's going to be too loud and I can't do the classes there. But, because I don't have a workplace like most people, I kind of just need to get out. Looking at the news is a distraction most of the time. The other time, the other times, I personally want to know what's going on in the world, but I often feel I have to do a lot of reading before I really understand what's really happening. It's never just looking at the news that helps. I feel you have to dig a lot more. So it begs the question of what is the purpose of the news? But I've got another question for both of you and for all of you 25 people out there watching who are too afraid to come in. Come on in. There's plenty of room. What surprises you in the news? In general, what surprises you? And then specifically, has anything surprised you recently? But in general, what surprises you when you turn on the news or you go to your favorite newspaper? What catches you by surprise?
In my case, John, there is a news that surprised me, but unfortunately, it is a very negative news that happened here in Mexico City. And most of the time, when I read these kind of stories, I need to tell them, I need to tell my friends about it because maybe from the negative stuff we can get the positive stuff.
Right.
And the positive stuff is that we need to learn how to act or react in these kind of situations. The story is a little bit complex to tell, but in general, John, if you give it maybe 1 minute to tell you, it it is about a woman who was driving with his child in a car. His
Mm-hmm.
child was
Her
about,
child. Her
yeah, I'm
child.
sorry, her child. Her child was about 3 years old, and someone, a guy, pointed her with a gun, and he told her, "Give me your car." And the
Uh-huh.
woman said, "I'm not
He tried to carjack her. Carjacking.
okay, okay, carjacking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay." He tried to carjacking, and the woman says, "Of course not." And they were discussing about it for some seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and then unfortunately the guy um, pointed the gun and said, "Okay, give me the car." And the woman said again, "I'm not going to give him my car." The guy pointed the child, and he, how do you say, shot.
He shot.
He shot, and unfortunately, John, he killed the boy.
Mm-hmm. How did he get the gun?
I'm sorry.
How did he get the gun?
How did he get the gun?
Yeah. Is it
Oh,
easy to get
well,
guns in Mexico?
yes.
Ah,
Unfortunately, as in North America, it is easy.
right.
Yes, and unfortunately, the guy, the boy, the child was killed by this guy. And in the end, what is the point here? The point is, okay, we are living in a very hard situation right now. If somebody asks you for your belongings, for your
You,
personal items on the street,
if someone points
give,
a gun at you, you give it. There's nothing you can
yeah,
do about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
should.
exactly, John, exactly.
Yeah.
Give all the stuff, your car, your jewelry, whatever, your cell phone, whatever. Give them
Right.
all your stuff. Because imagine this situation now, the woman, how is the woman right now? She has the car. I imagine that she doesn't want to drive the car again because this car represents something important in her life.
Right.
She doesn't have her son, and maybe she doesn't have her car.
Right.
And the point is, Terrible,
Yep.
terrible, a terrible story, John.
Well, it happened to me once. I was mugged in. I lived in New York, but my parents lived in Philadelphia, and I never ever had a problem in New York, ever. I went back to Philadelphia for one day, and I got mugged at gunpoint. I was there for one day to go to the dentist, and I got mugged by five guys. One of them had a gun, and they grabbed me from behind. So they had my arms, and they had the gun sticking in my ribs, and it was a pretty big gun. And there's nothing I could do, but I can tell you something. When that happens to you, sometimes something just takes over, and you're not thinking rationally. Because I got angry. I don't know why. I just got angry. I didn't fight them. I couldn't. But I absolutely was convinced that the gun was fake, and that they weren't going to do anything to me. Maybe because there were five of them, and if they had a real gun, they wouldn't need five people. They'd only need one person, right? I don't know. I got angry at them. They took my wallet, which had all my money, because I was really young, so I had the money in the wallet. And I was about to get on the train to go back to New York, and they took everything. And one guy was standing there, and I was like, "Okay, you got what you wanted, so go." What are you looking at me for? And he punched me in the face and knocked my tooth out of place, which is still out of place today. If you look, I'll turn the camera on later. You can see. It happened. My point is, I guess part of the thing is, the moral of the story is that we need to find a way to clearly, with the United States and everything that's been happening, with all the things with the school shootings and the police, all the news you've been seeing, guns are the problem. Because I'm a pretty rational person, but even I felt aggressive when that was happening. I was a lot younger. Maybe now I would think more clearly, but it just sort of happened. And I could have gotten really hurt, because how do I know that the gun wasn't real? Maybe it was. Maybe there were a bunch of kids who had the gun, and they would have used it because they were stupid. Who knows? I don't know. So
Yeah.
something kind of takes over. The real point is, it shouldn't be easy to get a gun. It should be very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, maybe, and we say maybe this is maybe it was better to. But the point here, just to finish with this story, let me tell you that we must think wisely. Wisely, this is the point. We must think wisely in that kind of situations. So this is the moral, as you said before, exactly.
Sure. So one purpose of the news is to prepare you, because if you know this is happening, you can prepare yourself in case it happens to you, right? Just like you see the weather report, you don't leave home without an umbrella. I'm not saying to leave home with a gun. I'm just saying you could be more prepared. Okay, everyone, let's take a look at a few vocabulary words that are going to come up in this very short article. I'm going to say them, you repeat them, and then we'll decide which ones you need to define and which you don't. If they're clear, we'll just move on. I've got two short articles for you, okay, and we're going to read and discuss both of them. Very short, just a few paragraphs. The first is unmanned, to man and unmanned. Say that for me, unmanned.
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 There you go. Going clockwise, the next word is blimp. You know that one now, blimp.
Blimp.
That's
Blimp.
easy. Next is contractor. Contractor.
Contractor.
Okay. Above that we have lobbying. Lobbying.
Lobbying.
Good.
Lobbying.
Good. Next is faulted. Notice there's no L. Listen carefully. Faulted. Faulted.
Faulted.
Faulted.
Good. Underneath we have hamper. Hamper.
Hamper.
Good.
Hamper.
And on the left again we have more. More.
More.
Okay.
More. Is it not more? More with you? No.
No. M-O-O-R.
You know, most of the time, double O sounds like you in English, but in this case, it's the opposite. It's more.
Right. Not in this case. So let's start with that. what does more mean? Do you know? If you know, give me an idea. More is spelled with two O's. Do you know what that means? It's not
More,
M-O-R-E.
more is to tie.
Is to tie. To tie what?
To tie something, maybe a ribbon on a tree or something like that, or not?
Maybe. Or
Maybe.
maybe it's to tie a boat.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the mooring of a boat is the cables that connect it to the dock or to the port in some way. The mooring. So to moor is to connect a boat or something like that. Okay. Hamper. Does anyone know that one?
No.
Hamper.
Hamper. The hamper. How about if I give you this sentence, Frederick? I want you to take a look at the sentence and tell me if it makes sense. Take a look in the chat window.
Okay. The police was hampered, so there was a slowdown.
Slow down, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The investigation was hampered. The investigation was slowed down, or maybe even blocked in some way. To hamper is to get in the way, to block, to get slowed down by some kind of an obstacle. Okay, to hamper. Okay. What about the other words? Any questions about the other words on the screen, or do you feel like you know what they are?
Unmanned.
Unmanned.
Yeah, I don't know what unmanned means.
Okay, well, clearly it's a verb because it's in the past. Manned, right? So, what if I gave you an example like this?
I think
Take a look in the chat window.
pilotless.
Pilotless. Good.
Okay.
You've got that example in the chat window too.
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that for me, Jose? The example?
Okay. An innate mission to the planet Mars.
One more time. Unmanned.
An unmanned mission to the planet Mars.
Exactly. So a pilotless mission, unmanned. So to man is not a word that we should really use so much today because it's not just men who do things, but you will hear people say it. Anyway, what it means is that you have a person controlling the thing. It's usually for a vehicle. Okay? It's not really a politically correct word, but anyway, you'll see it. And the articles I got are from major newspapers, so it's still being used today. Let's read this first very short article. Both of these are from today, actually. Okay, and let's see if you can understand it with the vocabulary. I've taken out what I think is the more difficult vocabulary. Okay, it's very short, like six sentences. it's just each sentence is like a paragraph. Very, very short. So let's each take two. Okay, Frederick, take the first two for me, please, and the title.
The U.S. military's runaway blimp has been a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle for years.
Wait. Boondoggle.
Boondoggle.
Okay. I forgot to put that word in the vocabulary because it was in the title, but we didn't actually discuss it. I'm not going to tell you what a boondoggle is.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to read the article and then see if we can define it afterwards. Okay? But think about that. You can probably guess what it is, but we'll define it after we've read it. So take the first two little paragraphs for us there, please.
An unmanned...
A what?
An unmanned.
Un is French.
Unmanned.
Good.
An unmanned 2,040-foot 75 meters helium-filled blimp used by the U.S. military to defend the East Coast from cruise missiles and drones broke loose from its mooring today, October 28, and drift over Pennsylvania for hours before being brought to ground, according to local news reports. Local news station SECV8 reported that a cable hanging from the blimp took down power lines in the area, leaving nearly 14,000 people without power.
Okay, good. Just repeat the word area.
Area.
Good. Area. 3 syllables, right?
Okay. Area.
And one more time, unmanned.
Unmanned.
Very good. What does that mean? It broke loose from its mooring. Is that clear? Because we saw the verb to moor something earlier. So what does it mean? It broke loose from its mooring.
That means that he was. I guess he was tied to
He
the ground.
was tied?
It's west.
Right. It was tied. And what happened?
And the moor broke.
The cables.
The cables, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The cables or the lines snapped. Okay. So that's the situation. Mr. Giancarlo, take number 3 and 4 and 5. They're really short.
The blimp is part of a program called Joint Land Attack Cruise Missile Defense Elevated Netted Sensor System, JLANS.
Think about that for a second. Joint Land Attack Cruise Missile Defense Elevated Netted Sensor System, or JLANS. You know, this is how the military works. Okay, go ahead.
Billed as the future of defense by military contractor Raytheon, the 70-year-old JLANS project has become a costly and ineffective zombie program, which has proven impossible to kill because of intense lobbying, and LA Times investigation found.
Okay, very good. Just a quick question.
Yes.
We had the word lobbying in our vocabulary, but we didn't define it, so I assume everyone knows what it means. So, according to that paragraph, why did this expensive program not get canceled? In other words, what does lobbying mean? Because if you know lobbying, then you understand the reason why this expensive program is still happening today.
Because of intense lobbying. An intense lobbying means an intense pressure.
Exactly, right. So military people are putting pressure on the government, the legislators, to keep funding the project, this blimp project. But a funny thing happened, because one of the blimps broke loose. Okay, keep going, Mr. Giancarlo. 4 and 5 for us, please.
Yes, a 22 report by the Pentagon's Operational Test and Evaluation Office faulted the system in 4 critical performance areas and rated its reliability as poor. A year later, in its most recent assessment, the agency again cited serious deficiencies and said JLANS had low system reliability.
Right. And again, that word, cited serious deficiencies. Cited
serious deficiencies.
Okay, good. Keep going. Number 5.
Each JLANS blimp costs about $182 million, and the entire project has a price tag of about $2.7 billion.
Billion what?
$billion.
Right. When you see a dollar sign, you have to say the dollars. $2.7 billion. Okay, so it's just another cheap program by the U.S. military. You know, $2.7 billion for a bunch of balloons. Why not? Why not? Mr. Jose,
Yes.
Why don't you take it to the end? 6, 7, 8, and 9, because these are pretty short.
Okay. It's not clear how authorities manage to bring the blimp, which normally operates at an altitude of 10,000 feet to ground. As the Baltimore Sun reported, Raytheon said on its website PDF that in the unlikely event one of the aircraft came unmoored.
Unmoored?
Unmoored. Unmoored. There are a number of procedures and systems in place which are designed to bring the aerostat down in a safe manner. The system consists of two blimps stationed in Maryland, technically aerostats, since they are or were tethered,
Like this. Wait. Tethered.
tethered,
Good.
were tethered and have no propulsion. That used sophisticated radar to monitor the skies all the way from Canada to North Carolina.
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 There you go. Keep going.
GL,
J-Lens?
GLens has been hampered by cost overruns and failures such as its inability to detect a man who landed his ultralight
Gyro?
gyrocopter on the USA Capitol grounds. Quad's sister publication, Defense One, reported that NORAD declined repeated requests for information as to whether or not the Yellens detected the slow-moving helicopter moving toward Washington, D.C. They also have yet to respond to a Defense One Freedom of Information at request for information about the matter.
Okay. Just a question on paragraph number 8. J-Lens has been hampered by overruns and cost overruns and failures. First of all, what's a cost overrun in plain English? Use the context to help you understand. What do you think a cost overrun means in simple English? What is a cost?
The cost is very high.
The cost is very high, right?
It's quite
Yes.
expensive.
Right. Okay, so
Yes.
another way.
The cost is over the budget.
Exactly. Over budget. Cost overrun is, say, over budget. Good. And was this program, has this program been successful? Look at paragraph 8 in particular to answer the question. Has it been successful so far?
No.
How do we know? What's the evidence that it has not been successful?
Because the project has many failures.
Yes.
That's true. And one failure in particular was
He was unable.
The inability to detect a man
yeah,
who landed his ultralight gyrocopter
gyrocopter.
on the USA
Right.
Capitol grounds.
Does that make sense? What did the guy do actually? This is a true story from just a couple of months ago. Maybe you saw it in the news. Maybe you didn't see the news. I don't know. Do you know what happened at the White House? 2 or 3 months ago? I can't remember exactly when it was. Maybe it was actually in the summer. I can't remember the exact time, but it was recent. What happened at the White House? Actually, what's been happening at the White House since Obama took office? What keeps happening?
Well, I read something, I remember something like there was a man who entered into the White House, I think, and the cameras didn't detect anything, and the supervision was unable to detect anybody.
Keeps happening. It keeps happening. I'm not saying it happens every day, but it's happened repeatedly since Obama's been in office. So either that means that it's happening more, or security is worse, or they're just reporting it more, and under Bush they didn't report it. It's hard to say. But this guy flew a helicopter into the White House backyard or front yard, I can't remember, and he landed it there successfully. Tell me something. If you had a $2.7 billion blimp program that was supposed to detect cruise missiles from Mexico to Canada, but a guy can land a helicopter in the White House without being detected, would you continue to give money to the blimp program? Just out of curiosity. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you would continue giving money.
No.
No, of course.
True story. Jose, how would you react to seeing a runaway blimp like the one that broke loose from its moorings? How would you react if you saw that? Would you be worried?
I think no. I think I don't react. I don't react.
You wouldn't react at all?
I don't. I wouldn't react in a specific way. I think I look at this device how it's flying.
I'll show you a reaction. So here's a good one.
It's flying, but anything else?
I like this one in particular.
Yeah.
This was taken yesterday. Do you know?
Yesterday.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you know who? You can see the horse, right?
Yes. The horse apparently is scared.
The horse is worried.
Yes. Worried.
So do you know who's in that buggy behind the horse?
No.
It's these people. These people, where I grew up, where I was born, they live just outside the city. I'll show you a picture. It's these people. See them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There you go. So there's Amish in that part of Pennsylvania, not too far from Philadelphia. And here's a picture of some Amish people going past, because they don't use modern equipment, they don't drive cars, going past the blimp. So you can see some reactions there.
If I will see a device like this, I ask about who is the purpose of this device flying in Valencia, for example.
I would probably wonder that myself. I'd probably run the other way, actually. Here's another reaction you can see. This is a motorist getting out of his car. There's the blimp in the background, if you can see it. And see if there's any other good ones. Here's one. You can see it. Oh, this is probably, yeah. That's Washington, D.C. So you can see the Washington Monument, and the blimp is behind it.
Yes.
So, this story is about politics, weather, and money. Frederic, what does this story say about these things, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's typically a program that goes on because of the lobbying, you know, because the technology is it's no sense. Nowadays we have satellites, we have things like this. It's no sense to use balloon, to use blimp, to monitor the activity in the air. It's ridiculous. So
it is.
Yeah.
But listen, $2.7 billion can buy you a really nice balloon. I mean, a really top-notch.
Yeah, very big balloon. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's really just it's just about money.
Maybe in the end it is just about money. But I wonder, Giancarlo, do you think this has something to do with weather as well? Do you think that that the story is not about weather particularly, but I mean, the fact that this massive thing broke loose from its restraints, does that have something to do with what's going on in the world today with the weather? Do you think that's part of the story in some way?
Until now, I can find the link between this problem and the weather.
What about El Nino? El Nino.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah, El Niño, yeah. Well, yes, El Niño is a
the angry Nino getting revenge.
but what is the link between this problem, this situation, and El Niño?
I don't know. I'm just something that comes to my mind. I don't know. Class, what do you think? Do you think there's any connection between weather and this story about military excess?
No.
No.
No, I do. I think that climate change is intensifying weather patterns around the world, and El Nino is worse now than it was the last time because of it, and therefore our $2.7 billion balloons are in great danger as a result because they weren't built for the changes in climate. That's what I think. Agree or disagree?
Yeah,
Thumbs?
sure, but obviously it's not this program have to stop because
Right.
it's no sense.
So then the question is, why has it continued, if it's 17 years old, why has it continued to today? Why hasn't it stopped? I don't know. Hold that thought for a second. I've got one more short article for you. I want you to take, just because these stories, we'll see if they're related or not. They're both unusual stories, stories that might surprise you. This one is a little bit different, and it's a little bit longer. It's short, but a little bit longer. I want to make sure we have a chance to read it before we run out of time. Look at the words on the screen. Now, these aren't so much words as they are expressions or something like that. So I don't think you're going to have problems with pronunciation. But some of the expressions might not be clear. For example, a floor, not a ceiling. Okay? The receiving end of something. Stands to reason. Those are three expressions you're going to see in this short article. And then you've got keywords like trigger, misnomer, firearms, and birdshot. Okay? Are there any expressions or words that you are completely unfamiliar with? You've never seen before, you don't know what they mean?
Misnomer.
A misnomer. Okay, that one's easy. Because nome is like the Latin word for name, right? Like nomenclature, nomenclatura. So a misnomer is something that has been named badly or named wrong.
Okay.
So here's a sentence for you as an example. Take a quick look. Can you read that for us, Frederic?
It's something of a misnomer to refer to these inexperienced boys as soldiers.
Right. Okay. So these are all sentences taken from newspapers and things like that. So we shouldn't call them soldiers because they're too young. Something like that. It's a misnomer. We shouldn't call them that. Okay? Firearms is another word for what?
Guns.
For guns. For guns, right. The trigger is a part of the gun. When you pull the trigger, what do? You
Fire.
fire.
Shot.
Yeah.
Shoot. Fire, shoot. Right.
You shoot.
You shoot. Birdshot is a kind of bullet. Birdshot is a kind of bullet you use to shoot
Small
birds.
bullet.
Small bullets, right. It's like little pellets that come out of the gun, and you could conceivably kill a lot of birds by shooting once, because it shoots lots of little tiny pellets. Okay? So a floor, not a ceiling, receiving end stands to reason. See if you can figure those out in the context of the article. Okay? It's short, it's very easy to read, and I want to get your opinion about this, particularly if you have a dog or a cat at home. So here we go. In the past 5 years, at least 6 Americans have been shot by dogs. Frederic, take the first page for us. And think about that when you go to sleep tonight.
Okay.
How many dogs do you have?
One.
Right. Think about that when you go to sleep tonight. Okay, go ahead, Frederic.
This past weekend, a chocolate Labrador retriever named Trigger accidentally shot an Indiana woman in the foot during a hunting trip, according to news reports. An Indiana woman had left her loaded shotgun on the ground with the safety off. Trigger stepped on it, inadvertently pressing the trigger. The woman took a shotgun blast to her left foot at point-blank range.
Point blank.
Point-blank range.
So how far away was she from the gun if it was point blank?
Very close.
Yeah. Not very close. Next, touching the gun. Touching the gun. Point blank means 0 meters from the gun. Point blank. The blank is like saying 0. So literally, she was probably touching the muzzle of the gun when it went off. That's pretty bad. But at least she named her dog the right name. Trigger.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Next 2 short ones.
After getting patched up at area hospitals, she expected to make a full recovery, joining a short list of Americans who apparently have been shot by their dogs, according to news reports. 5 others since 2011 and 10 total since 2004.
Keep going, last one.
Okay. Remember, this number is a floor, not a ceiling. If someone gets shot by that dog and doesn't seek medical care, or it otherwise doesn't make the local news, nobody's going to know about it.
Right. So the actual number of dog shot victims, is it higher or lower than the reported number, Frederic?
Higher.
Higher.
Higher, because it's a floor, not a ceiling. Floor means the minimum. Okay. This is all true story. I'm not making this up. Mr. Giancarlo, can you take the next 3?
Yes, it's a bit of a misnomer to say a dog shot someone. After all, dogs don't pick up firearms with the intent to
Firearms.
firearms with the intent to shoot something, but they do end up inadvertently pulling a trigger from time to time. When you have a country with as many people, guns, and dogs as we do, this type of thing is going to happen from time to time. It does happen elsewhere too. For instance, a French hunter had to have his hand amputated in 2012 after his dog jumped on him, setting off his shotgun. A New Zealand man was shot by his dog in 2010. These international cases aren't included in the table above.
Oh, sorry, I don't have the table there to show you. I couldn't get it I couldn't copy it on the presentation, but I'll give you a link. Keep going.
But we've got a lot more guns here in America than people in other countries do, almost half the world's private stock, by some estimates. So it stands to reason that fireman accidents involving dogs will be more common here too.
Fireman or firearm?
Firearm, sorry.
Okay.
Firearm accidents involving dogs will be more common here too. It's not scientific proof of anything, but simply a reminder that guns are an ever-present element of many Americans' lives.
Okay. It says that dogs don't pick up firearms with intent to shoot, but I'm not so sure if that's true. I'm not sure about that. Mr. Jose, the last page for us, please.
Yes. Many of these dog shoots stories often involve hunting mishaps. In 2013, a Minnesota hunter was shot in the leg when his dog.
The leg?
Dog.
The leg? No.
The leg. Leg.
Again? Oh, telephone call. I think he got interrupted.
Sorry. The again, no? The leg. Leg.
You got to do a hard
leg.
G. A hard G. Leg.
Leg.
That's it.
Okay. Was shot in the leg when his dog jumped into his boat and set off a shotgun. In 2011, Hata?
No. That's the state. That's Utah. The state.
Utah hunter left his shotgun on a boat. His dog jumped on it, sending a blast of shot toward the man's buttocks.
Buttocks.
Buttocks. Buttocks.
He got shot in the butt, in other words.
Buttocks. 2 weeks later, in a Florida bulldog named Ellie shot his owner with a rifle while in a car on the way to a hunting spot. Florida appears to be home to several more of these accidents. The dog who shot his owner in the leg with a...
With the leg? Uh-oh, try again. Leg.
Owner in the leg
Good.
with a...
380, guess.
But before the 3, I see a point.
Yeah.
A dot.
I don't know. I know, but it's the name
okay.
of a. It's a type of gun.
Okay. With a 380 pistol while riding.
I think we just say 380. A 380 caliber. I'm not really sure how you say that because it's something specific, but I think it would just be. You could either say .380. I guess it's .380 pistol, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, the dot is a point because this is a number, not a .com. So it's .380 pistol or something like that.
Pistol while riding in his truck in 2013. The dog who jumped onto a bed and knocked another 30-18 pistol on the ground in 2010. Shooting its extremely intoxicated owner in the hand. The 3-month-old shepherd mixed puppy who shot a man in the wrist. In the wrist.
Good.
Wrist with a revolver in 2004, while the man was trying to shoot the puppy and its siblings because he couldn't find them a home.
Wow! Wow! That puppy rocks.
When
in my country, puppy shoots you. You don't shoot puppy. Wow, that's excellent. Okay, last paragraph.
When dogs pull the trigger, the outcome is rarely fatal. The one tragic exception in the case of the Texas hunter who, in 2008, took a shotgun blast to the side when his dog jumped on the gun in the bed of his truck. He later died of blood loss.
Right, not blood, but blood.
Blood.
That's it. Like
of
duck.
Blood.
Loss.
Okay,
good. Wow. The guy tried to shoot a puppy, the puppy shot him. That's excellent. Last paragraph, I'll do this one really quickly. When people, dogs and guns mix, the dogs are usually at the receiving end of gunfire. Police shootings of dogs, sometimes under questionable circumstances, seem to happen with disturbing frequency. Some police departments have found that dog shootings can be drastically cut simply by giving their officers the right training on how to deal with canines. Interestingly, this is the most important line of the story. Interestingly, I could only find one case of a cat shooting its owner way back in 2005. Think about that. One cat shooting. And so many dog shootings, we don't even know how many there are. Here's my question. Are dogs violent armed killers? Yes or no?
No.
No?
No, of course not.
Are dogs...
They had stupid owner. That's all.
Are dogs increasingly getting arms and rising up against their owners? Is the dog revolution coming? Yes or no? I think yes. Only if the cats can protect us will we survive. I think so. This story is about pets, people, and guns. In your opinion, class, what does the story say about these things? Pets, peoples, and guns. What does it say? It says to me, don't shoot your puppies.
Well, it's a combination between accidents and precautions or
Mhm.
something like that.
Mm.
Because it's impossible that a dog is a killer, and it's impossible. Well, yeah, here in Mexico, it's impossible to see an armed dog.
Mhm.
No, so it means accident. And I'm sorry, John. How do you pronounce fatal? 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 How?
Fey like day, till like ill. Fatal.
Fatal.
Fatal, right.
Fatal. Okay.
What should people do about guns? What should people do about dogs? What should they do about this before we all get killed?
The people should block the guns properly, I think.
Funny you should say that. There is now a law that was passed yesterday. If I remember right, it was yesterday in no, sorry, it's a proposal for a law yesterday that guns must be stored in locked containers, or you'll be storing them illegally. Now, don't ask me how they're going to enforce the law, but the law in California that's proposed is all guns must be stored in locked containers in a specific place in your house. Guns already have locks on them, but you have to remember to turn the safety on. That's the name of the lock. It's called a safety. You have to be the one turning it on, because if you don't, the gun won't lock. They don't automatically lock. See, that's the problem. So, I think, what do you think should be outlawed? Guns or dogs?
Of course, the first
Dogs,
one.
right? Dogs.
No.
Yeah?
Well, both. In a certain way, both. In a certain
No,
way,
no, just
both.
dogs. Just dogs.
Just dogs? Okay,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dogs.
Just dogs. No one needs dogs. Cats, on the other hand, cats are pretty cool. Dogs, not so much. Actually, I grew up with 2 dogs, and they were okay. I was okay with those dogs. But that's because they were my dogs. I don't like other people's dogs. That's my problem. I like Frederick's dog. What kind of dog do you have, Frederick?
Border Collie.
A border collie. Collies are very intelligent dogs, aren't they?
Yeah. He's very smart. Very smart. Yeah.
Very good, very good. So,
But I have no gun, though, so so it's okay.
but you should get a gun, because he probably has a gun. You're going to need to protect yourself, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. I need to stop the class a little bit early, just 1 minute early, because my classes keep
Don't worry.
disappearing. So I'm going to start the next class right now, because before people were saying they couldn't see it show up. Okay?
Okay.
Copy those
Bye-bye.
words down in your notes, study them, and protect yourself against the dog uprising.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
tough. Okay?
It will be dangerous. Yeah.
Be back in a minute
Bye-bye.
for Grammar Garage. Be right back.